Happy Thursday, everybody, and Amadeus and I are here to enlighten you on some sports today. And Amadeus, if it's Thursday, it must be football, both college and pro.
That's right, Jim. It's a Thursday, it's a Friday, it's a Saturday, it's a Sunday, and it's a Monday. All the next 5 straight days we have football, football, football. So very, very exciting.
This
This
is
is this
very
is the
true.
part of the week.
Well, it's good. We got some stuff, and then we got the baseball playoffs right around the corner, and a lot of stuff going on there. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. Here's the game tonight on Prime. It's the Lions and the Packers, and this one, I mean, it's early for sure, but you want to if the Lions or the Packers, I'm sure want to establish themselves in that division as the premier team, and this is they only get to face each other twice, so this one hopefully will be a good one.
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting game. Very important to both sides. Obviously, you have the Lions as the favorite to win the NFC North this year, and they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
looking at this game like this is our chance now that Rodgers is out of there. But the
Mm-hmm.
Packers, they got something to prove too. They want to prove
Sure.
they're more than just Aaron Rodgers, and they are at home, Lambeau Field for this game. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely very important considering that you have the Vikings and the Bears at 0-3 in that
Mm-hmm.
division. So really, whoever wins this game tonight is going to come out ahead.
Got an inside track, which is not a bad thing to have. And the Lions have played well this season so far, and so have the Packers. I think a lot of people were surprised by the Packers, like you're saying. Aaron Rodgers is gone. Oh my God, they're going down the tubes. And guess what? Aaron Rodgers is on the sidelines, and the Packers are in fine shape. Thank you very much. So there's that one tonight. We've got that one. Now we got some college football tonight. Let's go to the college football ranks. Middle Tennessee State, Western Kentucky. That's on CBS Sports Network. Alex DeBarrio and Malik Zaire on that one. An American Conference game between Temple and they're at Houston. I'm sorry, Tulsa. 7:30. Matt Berry, Dan Mullen, Jackson State, Sam Houston State. That game is on ESPNU. Drew Catteroo and Dustin Johnson on the call there. So, anything on that list of three games interest you?
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting games there. That Temple Tulsa one is very interesting to me because Tulsa opened up as a 6.5 point favorite, and that is down to about 3.5 now. So a lot of
Hmm.
money's come in on Temple, and it does surprise me, but just because Temple they haven't been great. They're on the road
Mm-hmm.
here. I know a lot of people are high on EJ Warner, obviously, because
Mm-hmm.
he's Kurt Warner's son. But this Tulsa team, I've watched a few of their games now, and
Right.
Cardell Williams is good.
Mm-hmm.
He is a good quarterback. He could throw the ball well, and he's obviously a big runner as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
think there's definitely some danger in this Tulsa offense, and 3.5. Wouldn't want it at 6.5 for sure, but
Mm-mm.
now that it's down to 3.5, I think Tulsa might be the play. I think they're good for at least a 4 point win here.
There's I think you're right. I think Tulsa at home is normally tough to win, but you know, I don't know that Temple is going to travel well. They haven't specifically done it over the past few seasons, but you will see there. Western Kentucky is one of those teams like Appalachian State, like East Carolina, that people just don't pay attention to, and they just keep winning. And so I don't know what the line is on this, but I would expect Western Kentucky to beat Middle Tennessee State tonight, and we'll see how that goes. Jackson State and Sam Houston State, um, that one should be entertaining. Um, I don't know who's that one. Sam Houston probably because they're home would be would have a slight favorite, I would assume. in that game.
So Jacksonville State's a 6.5 point favorite in that game.
Of course, that's exactly what I was thinking.
So they opened as a 5.5, and it's up to 6.5 now, but it's
Well,
pretty much stayed there all week.
it's kind of hung there, huh? So there you go. Um, we don't have a big.
Even that Middle Tennessee game though, like Western Kentucky opened as an 8.5 point favorite. That got down to 5.5
Mhm,
very quickly early in the week, and now it's about back up to 6.5
mhm.
for Western Kentucky. So yeah, that's been one
Okay,
that's all over the place.
all over the board. So, oh well. The thing is, like tomorrow night is a really good night for college football. We'll get into it more tomorrow, but you've got Louisville at NC State. You've got Columbia at Princeton for the Ivies. You got Louisiana Tech at UTEP. You've got Utah at Oregon State, which ought to be that one should be a good one. And then Cincinnati at BYU. So, those are quality games for tomorrow night. So we'll talk about them tomorrow, but definitely quality games from that standpoint. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we still have pennant baseball here. We got some games being played as we speak. Um, Detroit Lenny's Tigers are up 6-0 on the Kansas City Royals. That's the bottom of the eighth. Top of the fourth, the Athletics are 1-0 leaders over the Twins. They're in warm-ups. The D-backs have beaten the White Sox so far. Two out of this is the third game, so they've got them two straight. That's going to be on MLB Network, so for sure you're going to want to watch that one. Javis pitching for Arizona. Tusorini for the White Sox. Cardinals Brewers, that's a 4:10 p.m. Sorry, start. Hudson for St. Louis. Milwaukee has got Burns. Pirates and Phillies in a game that really doesn't mean much tonight. Ortiz pitching for Pittsburgh. Zach Wheeler for Philadelphia. Boston Orioles, that's a big game. The Orioles are 1.5 games up on the Rays. They can either um, gain a half game on the Rays, or they can lose a half game on the Rays. We'll see how that goes. Red Sox pitching Chris Sale and Kramer on the hill for Baltimore. That game's being played at Camden Yards. Yankees and the Jays. Boy, the Jays have to get on it and make sure they stay on it. Weaver for the Yankees. Bassett is pitching for the Blue Jays. Marlins Mets, big game for the Marlins. Um, 100%. Now that game's going to be the middle game. That's a 7:10 p.m. game on MLB Network, and that's Luzardo and against Peterson for the Mets. The Cubs and the Braves are still playing. This is the last game of that one. That's the backup game on MLB Network in case it rains. Marcus Stroman is pitching for the Cubbies, and Smith Sawyer, I'm sorry, is pitching for Atlanta. Dodgers Rockies, that game, Yarborough for the Dodgers, Flexen for Colorado, Rangers and Mariners, a huge game. That's going to be Montgomery for the Rangers and Gilbert for Seattle. And the Royals and the Tigers second game. Is Reagan's for Kansas City, and Detroit has Gibson Long. So there you go. Nothing's changed on the scoreboard since I went there, but so there you have it this afternoon on what's going on. Anything that you're looking at today on from the soccer side?
There is some La Liga and Serie A going on right
Mm-hmm.
now. Not the games aren't great though. There's just a bit of midweek matches now because there's obviously no Champions League this week, but Champions League will be back for next week. So definitely just I would say monitor, because obviously a lot of these teams are going to be playing today or played yesterday, and then some are they're obviously going to have to play on the weekend again, and then Champions League, Tuesday, Wednesday. So bit of a condensed schedule here. I would definitely keep an
Hmm.
eye on, at least if you're not betting these midweek matches, I would keep an eye on the lineups who played, because players are definitely, more specifically for these teams that play in Champions League next week. Players are going to get rotated on the weekend, so keep that in mind when betting the card this weekend for sure.
Well, the Ryder Cup tee times and pairings for Friday have been set, and we can take a quick comment. I'll throw them out there. You can comment um, on the Ryder Cup matches. Uh, just for those who like to see something interesting, Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas are going to sit out the first session of the Ryder Cup. Which now that's not an uncommon thing. You sometimes, like any team event, there's some guys who do play better against other folks, and so at that point in time, I think they just thought that would be the best tack to take. So let's see what we
Good,
have here.
good choice on your two scratches.
Yeah. So the match one, which is going to start at 1:35 a.m., um, has Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns for the United States against John Rahm and Terrell Hutton from Europe. Match two, which is getting underway at 1:50 a.m. this morning, uh, is Max Homa and Brian Harman for the United States. Victor Hovland is going to be along with Ludwig Alberg for Europe. Then match three, which gets underway at a decent hour, 2:05 a.m. Ricky Fowler and Colin Morikawa. I'm sorry. Uh, then Sepp Straka and Shane Lowry is their opponents from the European side. Patrick Cantley and Xander Schauffele is going up against Royal McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood in match one. So I'm sorry, in match four, which is at 2:20. So anything there you like?
I mean, nothing specifically really. There is some interesting matchups. Is Brooks Koepka not paired
I
up
don't see his
for?
name here.
Okay,
Doesn't
that's.
mean he's not there. It just means he's not playing yet.
I was gonna say that's an interesting one, because he's been arguably the hottest American golfer
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year, but
yeah. Well, the CBS Sports predicts that the Scheffler Burns Rom Hutton match one is going to go to Europe. They like that one. They like the Homa Harmon versus Holland Alberg. They like the United States to pull an upset there. Ricky Fowler and Morikawa versus Straka and Lowry. They think the prediction again is U.S. close. And Cantley and
yeah,
Scheffler versus McIlroy and Fleetwood, they give to Europe. So in the first four, they like a split at this
yeah. I
point.
kind of like that Morikawa Fowler one, just because Morikawa is very consistent,
Hmm.
pretty good player, and obviously you have Shane Lowry, who just loves to choke. I've bet on that guy a few times in majors, and there's nothing he loves more than choking. So I'm sure at some point they'll
Got to do
get
what you
blind.
do best. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure at some point they're going to get blinded by the all orange outfit of Ricky Fowler. So definitely, advantage Americans on that one.
Yeah, for sure. It's he's got that. That's a bright. That's a very bright. Um, very very bright uniform he's got on there.
I'm nothing
It just
against the guy, just I have
yeah.
everything against what he chooses to wear. It's an
Hmm.
eyesore.
It's
It's like the
understood.
Boise
Yes.
State field.
The coverage tomorrow, just so you know, guys, it starts at 1:30 a.m. to noon on USA Network and on Peacock. So if you want to watch it tomorrow, 1 a.m. Uh, early this morning, tomorrow morning, I'm sorry, and it goes to noon. And Day two, which is Saturday. That's again. It starts at 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. on USA and Peacock. Then it goes from 3 a.m. to noon on NBC and again on Peacock together. Um, and then the singles, which are always entertaining, are Sunday, and they begin at 5:30 in the morning. Early coverage is on. Well, actually, all coverage is on NBC and Peacock. So that's where you find your Ryder Cup information. It's all on NBC, USA, and Peacock. So there you go, boys and girls. It is pretty wild, to say the least. And let's check real quick on any any feedback from you on Damon Lillian trade.
It's very shocking, I guess, just because I read a notification. I haven't even really thought about NBA yet because obviously, all the trades are going to start now, and I don't like to keep up on the trades as they're happening. I kind of like to wait until the dust settles and just see where people went. But yeah, we came into the week. I got a notification at the beginning of the week that was like, oh, Toronto Raptors are favored to get Damian Lillard, and I kind of just laughed at it. I was like, yeah, like the Raptors are getting a superstar. Like, okay. And then, sure enough, 3 days later, with this 3-team trade that doesn't involve the Raptors, and I
Right.
look at that and say, well, gee, the rumors were so accurate there.
Bingo. Yeah, they hit it right on the nose. The best bet this weekend, CBS Sports' best bet, the Bills and the Dolphins in the NFL. So
That's what's the
take it
best
for what
bet?
you think, what you might get out of it, but that's what they think is the number one game there. They're also talking about, the fact that the Irish look to rebound this week, and they're not going to have an easy time with it. But that's their thoughts on that one. And basically, there's a few other little quick things here that we'll hit. Um, they're talking about Terry Francona. Do we think that Terry Francona is going to be back next year for Cleveland? I would say it's up to him. I don't think he's going to get fired by any stretch of imagination. USC's Colorado. They're calling it the 247's calling it the transfer portable. So we'll see how that one goes. But I think SC's got enough power to get them past Colorado in that situation. But yeah, I mean,
I don't
fair
know.
enough to call it the portable because many respects it was.
This USC team doesn't know what defense is. I don't know. But neither does Colorado. But
No, they don't. And
there's a reason the
I can
total's
see this one
73 and a
being.
half in that game.
Yeah, take the over. Yeah, it's a.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can easily see. If Oregon put 43 on them, I can see. You know, SC SC may have to score 45 points to win.
The first half.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
take a lead into the first half. Yes, 45 to 38, Jim. That'll be the halftime score.
They're going to keep going back and forth. It's like, come on, guys. So yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be.
I think this is going to be a real test for USC's defense here. They looked awful against Arizona State. Maybe it was a look ahead spot because you got big noon football at 9 a.m. against the most watched team in the country this year.
Right.
But like
I
said,
at their house.
Yeah, you got to see how. Yeah, a little bit of altitude. Very early game for this USC team. I don't know how they're going to come out here, but they already don't play defense. So if that offense isn't up for this game, Colorado might win. Who knows? I do not think this USC team is the best in the Pac-12. I don't even know if I would put them in the top 3 of the Pac-12.
No, I mean it's barely the best team in Los Angeles, college team. I mean UCLA, if they had a quarterback, they would be amazing. But
Probably.
I think people are undervaluing Utah, and Utah is going to be playing tomorrow night, and we'll get to see how that plays out. But you know, it should be a good game tomorrow night. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But definitely an interesting situation to say the least there. So we got that going on, and so let me ask you a quick question. We talked a little bit about Damian Lillard and the NBA. From a handicapping standpoint, when do you start looking at? Do you do you deal in you know uh, futures from that standpoint, or is that something? I know futures are big bets on some sports, but are they big bets on NBA?
I guess it really depends on the handicapper. Personally,
Mm-hmm.
I like to bet futures in football, but I'm not a big futures in basketball kind of person.
Uh huh.
Probably won't be a big futures in MLB either after
Hmm.
what has happened this year. Just
Right.
there's some sports that you need to watch the first few weeks and
Sure.
see what happens, right? Like coming into the season, I couldn't have told you. I didn't think Miami, the Dolphins, were going to be as good as they are. I thought the 49ers were the best team coming in the
Hmm.
NFL. And after watching, a few weeks of the season, I can say that the 49ers are the best team in the NFL, and the Dolphins probably are number
Hmm.
two as well. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm not too big into the futures myself. But yeah,
Hmm.
as for the season itself, I'll start to look into it about maybe 2 weeks beforehand and really learn the roster,
Hmm.
see who went where, what the big moves were, and then
Right.
really look at it from there.
I guess it's the same thing for hockey as well. Only there's a lot more movement seemingly in hockey than there is in the NBA.
Yeah, hockey's a bit different, I think, because the NBA you're very reliant on your star player
Hmm.
because they usually play most of the game.
Hmm.
In hockey, your star player maybe plays 25 minutes of the game, which isn't even
Hmm.
half. And that's on
Right.
a good night. They'll get like 29 minutes or something like that. So
Hmm.
it's more, I view hockey more really as a team sport because
For
it's
sure. Yeah.
very different in the sense where, it's only like 1 minute shifts for these guys. So it's constantly different people coming in on and off the ice. And yeah, I think it's more of a team element in basketball. We've seen many times one player carry a team in basketball.
Right. I there's something in hockey too that I want to get your opinion on. I, for me, as someone who watches it and enjoys hockey, uh, I think that truly you probably of almost any of the other sports, your head coach has to be good and has to be a good communicator because you know there's a lot of moving parts there, and yeah, they have assistants, but it's nowhere near like the assistants that you get in the NBA, and you have a system that you play, and I don't know. I just think that we see a lot of it's a lot of the coaching aspects in the NHL that um, that players either buy into or don't, and it's an interesting concept to me that the coach is there now. We've seen coaches get fired 3 weeks into the season, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I just think there's coaching is a massive part of making certain your NHL team is together, because you're right, it has to be a team. They have to work as a team.
Yeah, definitely. And there's been many situations where the team won't play for a certain coach if he's
Hmm.
lost the locker room or something like that.
Hmm.
And that's the other thing is that really the best example of that would be the Boston Bruins last year. They were the best
Hmm.
team in the NHL during the regular season.
Sure.
They broke a ton of records with the wins and the points that they racked up. And really, the only thing that changed on their team last year was the coach. They pretty much
Hmm.
had the same team from the year before. Obviously, they started the season very injured, and yet they
Hmm.
were still winning games. And a lot of that has to do with the coaching change.
Sure. I know also that you get situations where, like a Barry Trotz will come in, and Barry's a very defensive minded coach, and he'll institute the defense, but then the offensive guys get pissed off because they're like, well, we're not playing that much, and we're playing counterattack, and that's not what we like to do, and we like to open it up. But it's the way Trotz plays the game, and so he's been successful at it. So you can't argue that point. But at the end of the day, you know, um, it all depends on how well the team plays for them.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely big aspect in hockey is the coaching for sure.
One of the guys who I truly love, from a standpoint of Bruce Boudreau, and Bruce, he'll come in and instantly the team will win, and he more often than not will get the team to the playoffs. Bruce's problem is once they get to the playoffs, he can't seem to get them past, the first or second round. But he ends up getting these jobs, and he ends up spinning the team around, and they're playing well. And then as I said, they get to the playoffs, and things don't go right. But you know, he's one of those kind of coaches that is worth instant wins, and you don't see that often. But I don't. We'll see if he lands somewhere this year. He's coached 3 or 4 different teams in the last 5 years.
Yeah. And no, hockey is one of those sports as well where I think
hmm
it's a lot easier on any given night for the worst team in the NHL to beat the
hmm
best team in the NHL than it is in the NFL or the NBA, just because you know it's weird, right? Like
hmm
it's one of the few sports that actually has a combined element, right? Like
hmm
if you look at football, basketball, the ball can go out of bounds. Soccer,
Sure.
there's you can go out of bounds in hockey, but it's a penalty if you flick the puck out of
Sure.
bounds. So that's the thing, right? Is you always get, because of the ice, because of just the way the sport is, the boards, you get weird bounces, you get a lot of fluky things happen in hockey. So that's why I would think that on any given night, any team can beat anybody in the NHL.
Sure. Now, you brought up a very interesting point, and that is when I try to talk to people who watch hockey, who are getting into it, I say you have to go to a game, even if it's a college game. It doesn't matter where you go. You have to go and watch a game so you understand. Because you'd mentioned that the star players on an NHL team probably play maybe 28 minutes a game, right? And what they don't understand, what some of the novices don't understand, is how often on and off the ice people change. Changing on the fly, changing defense, changing offense. Guys are not going to stay out there for more than 90 seconds, 2 minutes, unless it gets they get hung up in a penalty situation where they keep them on the ice just because they want to make sure that maybe if it's a Sidney Crosby, they want to see if that he can score for them, or if it's a defender, they want to make sure he's on there because he's their best defender. So
Yeah,
it's you have to see it, because then you realize that they are that entire bench area is a constant diving over the diving over the dasher boards to get onto the ice, and then climbing back over them to get to get off the ice. So the average player gets about 90 seconds, sometimes 2 minutes. So
yeah. I would
it's an
say
interesting
even
thing.
less than that. I would say 60 seconds. If you're on the ice for 90 seconds or more, then more likely you've been trapped in the defensive zone.
Right.
You're desperately trying to get off the ice by then.
hmm And it's but those bursts. I mean, you couldn't you couldn't have a hockey guy start and play 55, 60 minutes of hockey. You just could they just couldn't take it.
And so that's the other thing with my point to the any team could beat anybody on a given night.
hmm
Basically you have these situations where there's constantly odd man rushes because all
hmm
it takes is one bad change some
Right.
guys not paying attention, or you get yourself
Hmm.
stuck in the defensive zone, and all
Hmm.
of a sudden the puck could be going back the other way, and just like that, or it works
Right.
the opposite way where someone takes advantage of that, right? And you get a guy coming out of the penalty box and
Right.
get the breakaway. So 100%, there's a lot of like fluky stuff in hockey like that. I guess that's what happens when you actually play in a combined area where the players
Hmm.
can't physically leave the field of play.
Well, and the other thing too, which you have to watch out a lot, and I would imagine from a handicapping standpoint, you would have to watch out a lot, is hockey plays a lot of back-to-back games. Where they play, maybe in some cases they play in Philly one night and then they play in Pittsburgh the next night, and there's the same two teams playing, or you got a team that's on the third, game of their 3-game road trip, and you got to wonder if they have any legs left under them.
3 games, Jim. That's generous. Talking like five to 7 game road trips sometimes. It can
That's a
get
good point. Yeah,
it can
that's a
get
good point.
brutal with the hockey scheduling. You're on the
Right.
road for weeks at a time sometimes.
Mm. Well, and then, there's the getting into town the night before, getting in the hotel. You may not get in the hotel until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah.
there's all kinds of crazy going on there, and you do what you can do, but man, it's just it's a very very fast sport and a very interesting one. So we'll see about that, and then the NBA will be on coming up a little bit later this in the month of August. I'm sorry, October, and by Halloween everybody will be playing, and I don't know about you, but I don't start watching hockey or basketball until after Christmas.
Um, I mean,
Well, you're in the business, so that would be,
yeah, but I guess for the average viewer, yeah, you don't really need
yeah.
to watch till after Christmas. The first chunk of the season, like I said, we've seen teams in the NHL. The
Mhm.
St. Louis Blues a few years ago, the year they won the Stanley Cup, they were in last place in January in the entire league. So, it happens all the time. It can definitely be done,
Mhm.
going last to first. So yeah, really, if you're the average viewer, that's the exciting part, the second half of the season for sure. Because then you also get near the end of the season, you get the races down till the end in the last few weeks there. What teams need the points, what teams don't need the points. So it can get very exciting for sure.
Well, and this is where we talked about the coaches being changed. It's you're not going to see that in the NFL. You're very seldom do you see it in Major League Baseball, or for that matter, in the NBA, where they change coaches, in mid-season, and basically say, okay, here we go. You know, it's it's really kind of just a wild thing all the way around. I just got an email from CBS talking about the games that are being played this weekend, and you've got the Steelers are at Houston. These are the games CBS is going to do. The Denver Broncos visit the I think that is the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, they're showing helmets. It's hard to see, and they're tiny helmets at that.
Oh,
The
the
Ravens are at the
Broncos are the
Browns.
Bears. That's the
Is it the Bears? Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
that's the
thank
three
you.
dollar ticket game.
That's oh yeah, that's right.
The
The
three
Ravens
dollar
are at the
bowl.
Browns, and then the Dolphins, of course, as we said, are at Buffalo, and the Raiders and the Chargers play in the who's going to actually step up bowl. Should be an interesting situation from that standpoint. But yeah, that's the just
Who
got
do the
that cross the
Chargers
wire.
even have left? Man, Eckler's out. Mike Williams is out
Yeah,
now. And this happens to them every year. They come into the season as one of the Super Bowl favorites because
and
they
they
have
don't
a
leave
great
that way.
team and they're healthy. And then the
Hmm.
defense never plays the way they're supposed to play under Brandon Staley, who's a defensive guy. And then,
Hmm.
Mike Williams and Keenan Allen goes down or Justin Herbert goes down. There's always like a myriad of injuries on this offense. And then they go mediocre the rest of the season. And already they're off to an awful start this year, 1-2. They're lucky to beat the Vikings, where honestly that was just a game of which coach was going to blow it more. So
It's like
yeah, I don't know
it's
about the
we know
sentiment.
somebody's going to screw it up. Who is that? Who's
Pretty
going
much, because it happened to be the Vikings. Because if you look at the Vikings, they were in the red zone twice in the last 3 minutes of the game,
to?
and they went. I think what was it? They went for it on 4th and goal from the 2 yard line. They
Yep.
didn't get it, knowing they were going to give the ball back with 3 minutes left and 3 timeouts. So if you still had your 3 timeouts, why wouldn't you kick the field goal? And then, you're still going to risk putting your defense out there with 3 timeouts. And if they get the stop, then at least your offense only needs another field goal to win the game. But no, you got to go for it on 4th and goal. And then you put your team in that spot where, okay, they're backed up on the 1 yard line. You get the 3 and out. But then again, your offense comes down the field with 2 minutes left and you have to score a touchdown. And Kirk found a way to blow it as usual.
And yeah, there's always a way to blow it, and somebody will find it. It's crazy, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just you sit there and go, all right, let's just get this thing over with and get it going. So you do what you can do in that regard. So anyway, we've got. So I was just kind of perusing the games on Saturday in uh, in college, and there's some interesting 3 o'clock games. Kansas at Texas. Kansas fancies themselves the second best team in the conference, and Texas is the best team in conference. Georgia, Alabama. I'm sorry, Georgia, Auburn is an important game. Michigan, Nebraska. I'm not sure that's important, but it is interesting. And then Baylor, UCF, which is the second game of the year for UCF under the uh, banner of the Big 12. So we've got some interesting games. We already have spoken, and we'll talk a little more tomorrow about the some of these games. Illinois Purdue is going to be the Peacock game. That's a 3:30 game on, as we said before, on Peacock. And I'm popping around here for the 7:30 games. Notre Dame at Duke. That's a primetime game on ABC. Michigan State, Iowa. That's the game on NBC.
The shutout bowl.
Yeah, that one's something's not going to happen. Charlotte Southern Methodist. That doesn't do anything for me.
Doesn't move the needle for you, Jim.
Not really, no. I think I'd watch Nevada at Fresno State before I watch that one.
Hey, Fresno State's a good team.
Yeah, no, nothing
It
wrong with
might
them.
be it might be the best team in the Mountain West.
Yeah, which is saying something. The Mountain West has some pretty good teams. So, yep, that's the primetime games are Notre Dame at Duke. We've already said that's going to be a good one. And Michigan State, Iowa, and I'm sorry, Michigan, Iowa, at the Big House. So we'll see. Let's see if we have a 10:30 game tomorrow. Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech. That's an 8 o'clock game on the ACC network. That's a bit of a sleeper. They used to be very big rivals whenever they were together in the Big East. Alabama, Mississippi State is a 9 o'clock game. I don't particularly think that's going to be anything amazing. You got Washington, Arizona. That one should be easy. That's a Pac-12 network game. And then Nevada, Fresno State, and that's an FS1 game. So those
there's
are
not a lot of late games this weekend because
no, not a lot of late games.
Big noon kickoff taking all the Western teams for 9 a.m. starts. So
yeah, definitely. There's a definite change in that aspect, and we talked about how that's going to affect the teams. We've got and we'll talk a little bit more about it tomorrow. But we've got some definitely interesting stuff going on this week because we have a game in We have a game going on in London.
Yes, and NFL across the pond.
Mm-hmm. Who knew, right?
Yeah, the good old the Falcons and the Jaguars, whose owner owns like half of London by now.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He's excuse me. He owns Tottenham,
yeah,
and he built his new stadium where Jacksonville is saying, "Guess what? We're going to go. We're going to go to relocate in. We're going to relocate in London." League's not too overly crazy about that, but and I don't think they're going to get there yet. But it definitely is something that's on the radar.
I saw they're playing in two different stadiums. Like this game's at Wembley, but then
Right.
when the Jaguars play next week, and it's at like
Hmm.
um, what's it, Northumber Stadium or something like that, Northumberland.
Well, they're doing that. They're also going back to Germany and playing some games. They feel that they've got a pretty good setup for that, and you know who knows? Maybe they do. This is the week that there isn't two Monday night games, and for some reason, and I don't get. Maybe somebody can explain this to me. The New York Giants are playing are playing on the road. No, I'm sorry, they're playing at home. But it's the third time the Giants have been on national television this year, and with all due respect to the Giants, they aren't that good. But
Yeah, they
evidently
got
somebody,
both their losses came in prime time.
yeah, it did. Um, Atlanta and Jacksonville is the ESPN Plus game that we talked about. Sunday Night Football is Kansas City at the Jets. I'm sure they would like to would have liked to flex that one out. Um, and then Seattle and the Giants playing Monday Night Football. So
So is
there's
this
that.
gonna be like a repeat of week one where both New York teams were at home in prime time? We saw the Giants get obliterated by the Cowboys on Sunday night, and then the Jets without Aaron Rodgers in their triumphant victory over the Bills. So we're gonna see Patrick Mahomes just blow Zach Wilson and the Jets out of the water here on Sunday night, and then the Giants get the triumphant win over the Seahawks on Monday.
Anything's possible. But yeah, I don't. They're, they're not doing they're not doing a whole lot to help themselves. That's for damn sure. In that regard, so we'll see. But yeah, we'll go over all those games tomorrow and tell you what's going on. The other thing that we're going to know a lot, not a lot, but more about, is the baseball playoff situation, and we'll see how that plays out. And so and of course, there's going to be a lot of soccer on the weekend. So we're going to have a ton of things to talk about tomorrow afternoon. So please take time to enjoy us. Subscribe, hit that bell, like us. We're likable people, and subscribing is a good thing, and hitting the bell is an easy thing. So do that, and you're gonna get this taken right to your tablet, your phone, or wherever you consume your video podcasts. So anyway, speaking of subscribe, there's places you can subscribe to Amadeus and get all of his knowledge. So Amadeus, please, the floor, my friend, is yours.
Yeah, you can get my premium plays at bigowl.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. Brand new site. Go check it out. I'll have lots up for the weekend. Right now, I have my NFC North game of the month up that you can go get for tonight's Thursday night NFL game. And I also have my Conference USA game of the month up for college footballs tonight. So you can go check
Wow.
that out. I'll have college football up for tomorrow and Saturday, as well as NFL on Sunday, and plenty of Premier League for the weekend. So yeah, make sure you go check that out.
I keep hitting the wrong button. theinsiderroom.com. So everybody can just pop on and go to any of those ones below in the show box, and then we've got the insider, insidersroom.com. So by all means, gang, check it out. You're going to be happy you did. Amedeus make you a little money there, and you'll come back and thank him for it. So there you go. Any final thoughts, my friend, before we get out of here?
No, it's going to be an exciting night. So let's go. Watch some football. Let's go make
Let's
some
go
cash.
Lions. Here we go. All right, take care. We'll see you tomorrow. We got a ton of stuff to talk about tomorrow, and so get those pads and pencils out tomorrow. We'll be throwing some knowledge at you. Until then, I'm Jim. He's Amedeus. We're gone. We're gone. That was ending.